Paul is part of my company. He's Paul Womack with Rob Brooks Realty. I'm Rob of Rob Brooks Realty. We're in this series together called Preparing Your Home for the Hurricane, and we've gone through several different segments regarding insurance or trees or supplies, different things that you can do to make your house more safe. But when you've done all of that and the storm is approaching, I think it'd be helpful to discuss when is a good time to evacuate. So, Paul, you've been directly affected by a storm. I mean, I have too, but maybe I haven't had the trouble that you've had with it. So what's your advice on when's a good time to evacuate?
Well, number one, when they start issuing evacuation orders, a lot of people tend to think they can stay and maybe it won't be so bad, maybe they can protect their home. Try to remember, you're trying to protect your home against a force of nature that's incredibly thousands of times stronger than you are. So there's not, if it gets bad, there's not a lot you can do.
Right.
And all of us love our homes, that's important to all of us, but also when it gets down to it, it's just stuff. The people in your lives and you are what are important and that you have to protect. So when evacuation orders are issued, please heed those. Those people that are giving those are professionals. I was a professional firefighter for over 30 years.
Right.
And when the storms get bad and the winds get high, those trucks are not leaving the fire station. We can't put the first responders in harm's way because you didn't do what you were told to do.
Right.
And one of the things that I like to say is it's no fun to evacuate. It makes people nervous. Nobody wants to do that. But you can always come home from evacuation. If you stay, you may not get the chance to evacuate again. So please heed the warnings of the emergency management people. And if told to, if it's or even if you're just nervous about it, just evacuate.
Right.
And when you evacuate, some things to know. Reach out to family and friends that aren't in the area. Let them know where you're going, who you're going with. Some common sense things. Be safe about it, and let everybody know that needs to know where you are, how long you think you'll be, and those kinds of things. Just have a plan and have a plan ready to go, like today while the sun is shining, before the wind starts blowing and the rain starts beating on your house.
So, what's the difference between a mandatory evacuation and then there's another type of evacuation, right?
Yes, it's a voluntary, or they say that it's, yes, we're issuing evacuation recommendations. It may be a better word. But when it's mandatory, and even with the mandatory, they cannot make you leave your house. And some people don't. But what they're saying is, when that happens, and if there's a storm, we're not coming to help you. So you are on your own. So why take the chance of being in a place where your buildings can fall in around you or waters rise, which was the case in Hurricane Ivan with our house and our neighbor's house. There were people that stayed on our street in Hurricane Ivan, one couple, an older couple, and he described, now this is the middle of the night, it is pitch black, he described the waters rising, coming in their home, and he got his wife up on the top of their minivan, and he pulled the drop-down stairs down in the attic, and he got there. The water rose to the top of the van in the garage.
Wow, yeah.
And he got up on the ladder. The lady would not go with him up there because they were afraid the roof was going to come off, and that's as far as she was going to go. But they had to ride Hurricane Ivan out on the top of a minivan in pitch black in their car because they didn't evacuate.
Right. Let's talk about, and this is all with mandatory evacuations. I know that was somewhat close to the coast, and then you have, when do you evacuate? That storm is coming. A lot of times the Weather Channel or whatever is talking about the storms a week or so in advance, and so I see a lot of let's call it a little bit of hysteria that goes on before that happens, and so it's not something that you need to just, as that storm is coming and people are talking about leaving right away. It's not necessarily the case. You can see what that storm's going to do first, and they have models, but the models don't know for sure. But there is a point where there is kind of a point of no return. Like you were saying, you can always come back, but there comes a point where you can't leave.
You can't leave.
Bridges close. And so if you're in an island, on the island, or you're in an area where you would need a bridge.
I believe once they have sustained, not gusts, but sustained winds of over 45 miles an hour, they close the bridges.
You're right. So that is before hurricane force winds come.
Long before.
Yeah, long before. And then also, if there is a threatening one in the Gulf, I realized for myself that I tended to, I would wake up very early in the morning. Of course, go ahead and be packed. Have those bags ready and with all your documents, as we've discussed before. But have those packed, and then I wake up maybe 5 a.m. Why? Because I want to beat a crowd if there is going to be everybody deciding at once to flee a hurricane, because those roads get congested. They're made to handle thousands of cars a day or hour or whatever it is, but everybody leaving at once, I mean, the roads suddenly turn to a standstill, and that's not how you want to handle a hurricane.
That's exactly
either.
What happened in both hurricanes, Opal and I'm drawing a blank. What's the other one? Opal and Aaron.
Aaron. Yeah.
The roads going north were completely a parking lot, and trips that took usually an hour or two took 7 and 8 hours, and people got stuck and they ran out of gas. So, all that said, again, I understand it's not a fun thing to think about evacuating and leaving your home. Make your plan, have your things ready, and maybe the day before it looks like you might have to evacuate. Go ahead and evacuate. Each storm is such an individual.
Right.
Because some storms gather a lot of strength and they may be a major hurricane, which is above a Category 3. They may be a 3 or a 4, maybe even a 5 out in the water. And as they come ashore, they weaken. But my understanding, and I'm not a meteorologist, my understanding is that with all of that energy coming, even though the winds have come down, it's still pushing that amount of water and all those kind of things. So to just make a blanket statement of I'm not leaving if it's a Hurricane 2 or Category 2, maybe I won't, but it is very storm specific, and you need to pay attention to all those factors. And again, like I said before, please evacuate. You can always come home. You may not get the chance to leave again.
Keep in mind, too, that when it comes to evacuations, the storms are unpredictable. I mean, you see all the models where they're trying to predict them, but in the end, you just don't know exactly what that storm will do. For example, there may be a storm that is 50, 100 miles, whatever, from where you live, and it's a Category 2 when you go to bed. All of that could change in the morning. And if it is a 3, and it is now 50 miles away, then you can bet that there's going to be a big scramble and people are going to be stuck on the road, kind of like was with that one storm. I remember a meteorologist reporting on the news during that time when people were stuck and about to ride out the hurricane on a highway. There were tears in her eyes. She was crying while reporting, how to take care of themselves and that sort of thing. She knew that people were about to have a difficult time. So, be ready to wake up early or just monitor those storms very closely, because that can affect when you leave or whether you leave. Great. So this is Paul, I'm Rob, and thank you for watching this segment of Preparing Your Home for the Hurricane.
Thank you.